All right, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. Now today we are going to talk about how I take care of my chicken during the winter time. And I chose to do this video today because with the price of egg lately and with talks of all the bird flu and all that going around and issues with egg production because of that issue, I'm just thinking that some people may want to start raising chickens, whether it's to get eggs or for meat purposes or what have you. And I'm thinking most likely people would mainly raise chickens for egg production. Now, I live in Massachusetts, Zone 6B, one of the coldest places on earth. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but it's usually very cold around here. I mean, we tolerate it. We do what we gotta do. It's been quite a while. I've been living in this for more than half my life. And so I don't want to say I am used to it. I'm never ever used to the cold, but I tolerate it really well, especially because I have to at this point. Now I'm out here to do several chores. One is to collect my eggs. I have my egg basket with me. Two is to refill the feed, even though they do have some in here, and their water, because you always want to make sure they have feed and clean water at all times. So this is got to be washed out. And this is an electric water that I use during the winter months. Now if you notice, my chicken run is closed off with plastic, 6 mil plastic, and this is what we do in the winter time. The entire chicken run and even the door here is fitted with plastic. And that's to ensure that we keep as much warmth as we can during the winter months. Now I do allow them to go out even though it's winter and you can see there's snow on the ground, but today we are above freezing. And so when the temperatures are above freezing, I allow them out in the outdoor run to peck and scratch around, gives them more room to frolic in and to have extra space. Now one of the things we use during the winter months is heat lamps, and we always have this in place. Whether it's the summer, winter, spring, fall, it doesn't matter. We always have this set up from day one, and all we do is check the bulbs, check the wires, make sure they're working properly, because we do provide supplemental heat for these birds. And I know some people may say, oh, they're cold hardy, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, but I use it. This is what I choose to do. Reason being, I have different varieties of curious because the basket is sitting up there. But the reason being is that I have different varieties of layers, and some of the combs are bigger. And if you notice some breeds, the comb would flop over because they're so big. What I'm talking about now, if you notice this Ancona breed here, the black and white, she's got frostbite on her comb. See? And this is the reason why I provide supplemental heat for them during the bitterly cold days when the temperatures are below freezing, because they need it. Now this one right here, let's see, this is a black diamond breed. Look at her comb. It's a single comb and it's very small, and there's no frostbite on it. Even this olive egger right here, look how tiny her comb is. So she's not at risk for frostbite on her comb. Now I've had birds that have had burns on their combs and also on their wattles, and you want to avoid that because they endure pain when this happens, and they're not as brisk as the other birds would be, thus making them a vulnerable candidate for bullying and pecking on. Now if you notice here, even if we have the plastic protecting them from the open wind, we did build this with spacing between the wood, as you can see, and this provides for adequate ventilation, because imagine we have this capacity hosts 30 birds, and imagine we would have 30 birds in here closed up for a week at a time because it's bitterly cold during the winter months. That's a lot of ammonia in here for the birds, and it's not healthy for them. And so this is why we provide adequate heating for them when the time comes. In our area we have adequate ventilation for them, and we also have adequate spacing for them. Hence the reason for both the indoor run and the outdoor run, to provide for times when it's better to keep them indoors because of the bitter temperatures that they may be facing outdoors. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, if you choose to raise chickens and you're not used to raising chickens and you are in a cooler zone like my zone in zone 6B, Massachusetts, where it's freezing cold and we have long winters and sometimes a lot of rough winters, even though we've had a few mild winters for the past few years. But this winter has proven to be a little rougher than the last. And so my advice to you is, if you're setting up to raise chickens, just make sure you have an adequate space for them. You don't have to do it at the level that I'm doing it at if you think this is a lot or too much. Just do it your way, whatever works for you and functional, but just make sure that you have a setup. If you're going to choose breeds that are going to have a bigger wattle and comb, make sure you're able to provide adequate temperatures as best as you can for them. Also, the deep litter bedding method I use here, I use leaves and I add some hay occasionally. I also use a deep litter method in their coop, and so that provides for a bit of insulation, especially when they're closed in indoors on the freezing days. But I would think that it's not really smart to listen to someone who is in a warmer zone that don't need heating for the chickens. You listen to that person and that person would have a totally different experience than you do, because they're raising chickens in a different part than you are raising chickens in. So my advice is to pay attention. You can listen for advice from other people, but also take into consideration if you're not in the same area that they're raising their chickens in. But these birds are happy. They are giving me eggs because the days have been longer now. The daylight hours have been longer. Even my turkey is laying already for this year. So that's good. She looks like she want to lay. And even though this bird has some frostbite on her comb, she seems pretty okay. I've seen it worse than that before. Doesn't look like she's in pain or anything. They're not pecking on her. She's a docile breed. And you know, she's doing pretty well. No other issues with any of the birds. I have, I think, a couple more. Let's see. I have two more that has sort of a bigger comb. This one's not so big, and that's my Isa Brown or my red sex lynx, whatever you want to call it. And this is my white leghorn. And they are the only three that I have currently with bigger wattles and bigger combs. Which brings me to another point. When you're raising chickens, you may want a certain breed, but if you're in a zone where it's like really cold and you cannot provide adequate housing for them, you know, stick with the breeds that are less susceptible to the cold, getting frostbite on their wattles and their comb, until you're able to provide them with adequate housing where they can be indoors and have enough room that they can roam and be a chicken. That's all for now. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next upload.